What's up, Southeast Michigan Podcast? Daniel back here with you. It is, as of this recording, March 5th, 2024. Thank you for all the support. Like, share, subscribe. We're up on YouTube now. This is episode 4 while we're on that. But we can be on your phone anywhere you would like, wherever you listen. Apple, Google, anywhere. But appreciate it. It is that off-season time where not a lot going on outside of the excitement for the NFL draft. We just obviously had the combine over the weekend. We'll talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk some Michigan hockey, Michigan basketball, unfortunately. But yeah, so thank you for joining me here. We do have a few things to cover, and yeah, we'll have some fun with it. So, segment 1 here, we're going to talk about. There isn't really any news and notes. It's usually when we do news and notes, but we sometimes do a thing here called After Ann Arbor where we kind of revisit one or two players from previous classes from back in the day and kind of see where the players started and finished. Segment 2, we'll get into the hoops and hockey, and segment 3, we'll finish out with the football combine, and then we're going to get into Blue Blood Bias on Twitter's most exciting college football players ranked list, and then I'll give you mine. They got the nice fancy graphic and everything like that. I'm not good at graphics at all, and I'm not going to go online to search for a platform and then pay for it. So you'll just kind of see my Microsoft Word document of my top 20 because Blue Blood Bias did his top 20 most exciting college football players. I assume all time. There's not like since 2000 or anything like that. So again, not much news and notes to address. Episode 40, last episode, we read an article regarding the new helmet comms possibly entering college football soon. And meanwhile, the transfer portal closed. We learned some things regarding the Michigan players during that time. There, however, is grad transfers can enter the portal. So I think a grad transfer just entered recently. I think it was an offensive lineman. Man, his school's escaping me. I think it's a center somewhere. But as soon as he entered, everyone's like, "Wait, what? I thought the portal was closed." But apparently, grad transfers, with 1 year eligibility left, kind of go past that rule. So whispers of lucrative NIL offers to Michigan star players proliferated during the open transfer window. One parent of a returning starter said on the condition of anonymity that their son was offered around $1.75 million to play next season at a different school. So again, we've addressed it already. Other people have addressed it. Losing Keon Sabb so far as the biggest blow is manageable. However, that is a huge depth piece. So clearly, Keon is looking for, maybe a better chance to start or more of a lucrative type deal with the NIL portion of everything like that. But nonetheless, I have no hatred towards Keon Sabb, of course, right? Just a fan. And, I'm very thankful that he put in all the time and hard work he did to help bring a national championship to Michigan. So, Godspeed. Luckily for Michigan, they got Rod Moore and McCurry Page still, at least for now. And, but again, Keon Sabb, definitely a key piece in the element there. So, like I said, not much newsworthy, really, not much like coaching changes going on. Like I said, it's just really the combine, and we're sort of that dead period. I haven't decided if I really want to talk about the UFL when it comes about, but I think it'd be fun to do if it's at least watchable and exciting. It won't be Michigan based, which really this podcast is built around, but we'll see. All right, let's get into After Ann Arbor. So After Ann Arbor is, like I said, kind of a side segment that we've been doing over a certain, I'll say about a certain episode 30-ish or maybe 20-ish. But here we go. So on this edition of it, we're going to be talking about Justin Fagan and rest in peace, Craig Rowe. Figure talking about Craig Rowe, we'll get to in a second. It'll be a good time to visit him now. So first, Justin Fagan, 3-star quarterback athlete out of the 2008 class. He committed to the Wolverines on February 7th, 2008. He had offers from Miami, the Hurricanes, Rutgers, Southern Miss, Syracuse, and West Virginia. Fagan was initially expected to back up Terrell Pryor, assuming both would commit to Rich Rodriguez. Of course, that fell through on its rump. So we're gonna read a few articles about Justin Fagan. He had a short and sweet um Michigan career, or maybe a short and bitter one. But we obviously all hope for the best. But let's look into this. So this was according to the Ann Arbor News, posted on Saturday, July 25th, 2009, by Dave Burkett. And this obviously is after the 2008 season, as it was a very forgettable one where Michigan only won 3 games. Um, so going into the 2009 season here, Rich Rod's second year, the headline goes: Justin Fagan dismissed from University of Michigan football team. Wide receiver Justin Fagan was dismissed from Michigan's football team Thursday for an unspecified violation of team rules. Excuse me, jeez, can't talk right now. Rich Rodriguez said in a statement. Hold on a second. Let me show you what I'm reading here. So there you go. Let's expand this up so you can see what I'm seeing. If you're watching. Fagan from Deerfield, Florida, was one of the final pieces of Rodriguez's first recruiting class as a dual threat quarterback. He played sparingly under center as a true freshman and was converted to wide receiver midway through last season. This year, he was vying for the backup time at slot receiver behind fellow sophomore Martavius Odoms. Shout out Martavius. Fagan is the third 2008 recruit to leave the team in recent months. Sophomore offensive lineman Dan O'Neill and Kurt Warmers transferred to Western Michigan and Ball State, respectively. According to an ESPN.com report, Warmers was academically ineligible at the time of his transfer. All right, so you got that one. Next article was 2 days later in 2009, July 27th. This is on Bleacher Report. This is by Big House Bob. Justin Fagan is no longer a Michigan Wolverine. So right here, former quarterback and backup slot receiver Justin Fagan was kicked off the team late last week. Fagan was dismissed for violation of team rules Thursday evening, Michigan coach Rodriguez said in a released statement today. And then right here you can see this is kind of like a, um, you know, aftermath look at it, but it says Justin was a little late to the addition in the 2008 recruiting class and was there to try to compete at quarterback, hopefully to back up Terrell Pryor. Hold on, I just opened up my mailbox. Hold on a second. Justin didn't have the skills to compete at quarterback and was moved to slot receiver this spring. Take number one: Michigan loses a guy they took a chance on because they needed quarterback depth. With Tate, Denard, and Devin Gardner, Denard Robinson, Tate Forcier coming in, the quarterback spot is locked for many years to come, or so they thought, or we thought. He didn't have the D1 skills to be a quarterback, and there are plenty of talented wide receivers above him on the depth chart. Take number one analysis, not a big loss, and the effects to the team will be zero. Number two, what gets you kicked out that quickly? Boubacar Sissoko gets arrested for mouthing off to a police officer. Kevin Grady gets a DUI with a blood alcohol level off the charts, and wide receiver Daryl Stoneham also gets a DUI as a freshman. The above examples were disciplined in-house, and all three were expected to contribute this fall. Obviously, this is something serious where a second chance wasn't warranted. The message boards have been buzzing about a stealing incident, but again, this is just a rumor. I'm sure the facts will come out. So there you go. There's another one, and man, it takes you back. That's why I like doing these because you kind of, I'm always a person that like to reminisce about the good times, right? Whether it's no matter what it is. And so to hear Boubacar Sissoko, which man, we'll do an after Ann Arbor on him one day. Um, if you don't remember who that is, man, oh man, go rewatch the 2009 Notre Dame Michigan game. Michigan wins that one, right, with Tate Forcier, who was actually mentioned in this article. But Boubacar Sissoko, man, that was embarrassing. So you just go ahead and rewatch that game if you'd like, and eventually, maybe in the next episode or whatever, we'll tackle that one. Kevin Grady gets a DUI. I don't honestly remember that one, and that's unfortunate because Kevin Grady was supposed to be the next one after Mike Hart left, and a lot of that his success that didn't live up to the hype probably had something to do with Lloyd Carr not being there and Rich Rodriguez being there, but Kevin Grady has I don't know if it still stands, but in the state of Michigan, high school wise, he's got like an absurd amount of records. It is at his in his belt, and then wide receiver Daryl Stoneham. I also don't remember him getting a DUI, but then again, the 2008-2009 seasons were very forgettable in a lot of aspects, and I was in a lot. I was in a heavy party phase at that point, so Saturdays, uh, didn't really care. I mean, I did, but I didn't. Next one here. This was actually another year after. So March 10th, 2010, by James Lee on MichiganDaily.com. The headline reads: "Was sentenced, former Michigan quarterback Fagan gets a second chance." Let me move this down real quick here on the screen. So the Michigan football program may not have given former quarterback Justin Fagan a second chance when he was kicked off the team last year, but the Washington Hall County courts did when Fagan appeared for his sentencing yesterday. Washington Hall Circuit Court Judge Archie Brown sentenced former Michigan player to 2 years probation after Fagan, 21, pled guilty to the charge of delivering. Oh, yeah, this is what it was for. We didn't realize what he was. Now we know what it was at this point. Delivering less than 50 grams of cocaine. Fagan's guilty plea did not result in a criminal conviction, however, because he was able to qualify for the Holmes Youthful Trainee Act, a provision in Michigan's criminal code which erases the defendant's criminal record if they complete their sentence. Fagan was first charged with conspiracy to deliver less than 50 grams of cocaine, conspiracy to possess 25 to 50 grams of cocaine, and conspiracy to possess less than 25 grams of cocaine in March 2009, after a drug deal went awry between him and the university student Timothy Burke. Burke attempted to set fire to a hallway in the West Quad after Fagan did not deliver cocaine to Burke. Fagan was later dismissed from the football team in July for what Michigan football coach Rich Rodriguez called at the time a violation of team rules. At his sentencing, Fagan apologized to his mother, his family, and the University of Michigan for the disruption his offense caused, resolving not to let this mistake interfere with his future. Fagan told the court he was just trying to make it in life, just trying to learn from all this. As he prepared to deliver the formal sentence, Brown explicitly told Fagan that he was being given a second chance to get it right. Brown explained that the youthful trainee status is reserved for defendants the courts believes to be potential to change their ways, and he could benefit from the forgiving provisions of the Holmes Act. Um, see here. While presiding over the court, Brown encouraged Fagan to make the best of his opportunity to erase the serious drug charges from his record through the useful training process. The last thing I want to see is you fail here, Brown told Fagan. Um, and it goes on and on and on and on. So Justin Fagan, right here, according to College Football Sports Reference, he basically ran 11 times for 52 yards. But if you rewatch the 2008 Minnesota-Michigan game in Minneapolis, where Michigan did notch one of its 3 wins, Fagan had a 30 or 40 yarder or something like that on the ground. So he was put in there as almost looks like Denard Robinson out there without the dreads. Completely honest. Um, let's see here. Um, see here. I think the Timothy Burke kid, he ended up facing up to 10 to 20 years, depending on what news source you read, after pleading guilty for starting the fire in the quad hallway. Justin Fagan transferred to Appalachian State in the fall of 2009, or at least tried to. Michigan is the only spot where he acquired statistics, according to ESPN and College Football Reference. So, whether Fagan actually stepped on the campus of Appalachian State or not, it was kind of an ironic school to choose after the debacle that was the beginning of 2007. But yeah, I just thought that would be interesting to read. And like I said, I like to reminisce. I like to look back at the old times. And if you go on YouTube, shout out to Wolverine Historian. Has a lot of the older games up there, and most of them are in like 10-minute segments. So like the Michigan Notre Dame game in 2010 and 11, I believe, are separated in 3 segments or 3 10-minute videos. But yeah. So anyways, next one, like I hinted, is going to be Mr. Craig Rowe, rest in peace, who tragically passed away recently. But looking at it here, Craig Rowe, 4-star defensive end out of the 2009 class. The 2009 recruiting class for Rich Rodriguez was actually in the top 10 in the country. According to Rivals, they were number 8. Rowe committed to the Wolverines on September 19th, 2008. He had offers from Arizona State, California, Nebraska, Stanford, UCLA, and USC. Rowe compiled 148 tackles, 26 and a half tackles for loss, 10 and a half sacks, 1 interception, and 3 forced fumbles. So, you see right there. So yeah, let's see. So Craig Rowe grew up in Scottsdale, Arizona. His father, Fred Rowe, played basketball at Grand Valley State in Allendale, Michigan. So there was some sort of tie there. Rowe was a Gatorade Player of the Year in Arizona for the 2008-2009 academic year and received the 2009 Scholar Athlete Award from the College Football Hall of Fame. He played for Michigan in the beginning of 2009, starting all 12 games at hybrid linebacker and as a true freshman, right? So in his second, excuse me, I apologize. He earned a second team All Conference honors in the Big Ten in 2012. See here, under his recruiting category, he was according to ESPN, he was the 4th best defensive end and the number 48th player in the nation at all positions. Scout.com rated him as the 8th best defensive end and the number 67th overall player in the nation, and then Rivals rated him as the 7th best defensive end, number 156 overall, and the 3rd quickest first step among defensive ends. So yeah, so Craig Rowe started out as at the hybrid linebacker and lineman. After that successful season, they bring him in 2010. He puts on a bunch of mass and gains 20 pounds and essentially became the down guy there on the edge. Doug Robinson, right here in this bit here, comments Rowe as being a leader. Crucial part as a junior in the 2011 season. See here, as a junior, Rowe moved to defensive end. After contracting a respiratory infection over the summer, Rowe's performance suffered in early games of the 2011 season. He came under criticism from Michigan's new defensive coordinator Greg Madison. After Rowe appeared lifeless during a telephone conversation, his father flew from Arizona to Ann Arbor. They spent 2 days in Rowe's apartment assessing where he was in life and football and reviewing Bible verses. I remember that too. Craig Rowe was always a big, really big into his faith. During the visit with his father, Rowe reported having an epiphany that, and Michigan's coaching staff saw a turnaround in Rowe's performance. Through the first 7 games of the 2011 season, Rowe had 13 solo tackles and 7 assists. He led the team with 6.5 tackles for a loss and was a second on the team with 2.5 sacks. Following the 2011 Big Ten Conference football season, he earned all Big Ten Conference honorable mention recognition from the media. So the 2012 season, Rowe was named second All Big Ten by coaches and honorable mention selection by the media, as well as a Richard Kocher Award winner, given to Michigan's best defensive lineman each season. He earned academic All Big Ten recognition in 2012. So in his professional career, Rowe was undrafted, UDFA signed by the Carolina Panthers, released, and then he was spending time in the CFL with the Omaha Mammoths, BC Lions, Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Toronto Argonauts, but it was kept under the radar. That's the way his family wanted it, but I've seen that his wife posted online the GoFundMe for everything that has transpired. I'll put the link in the description. But she got on Craig's Twitter account and basically explained, that Craig has unfortunately passed away, and it was it's kind of emotional because you'd see, he is in a photo with his family. It looks like a recent photo with his family, and he's got a beautiful family. So, anyways, rest in peace, Craig Rowe. But I figured, I actually stumbled upon that when I was getting my show notes together for this. So I figured, why not tackle uh, that whole aspect of everything and like that, and throw him in the mix there with After Ann Arbor. So that's that for segment one. Really, segment two we'll get into Michigan hoops and Michigan hockey. Before we do, whoops, I turned my webcam off. Hold on. All right, before we get into segment two here, sports betting has rapidly risen in popularity, and I want to connect you all with an opportunity to get started or get ahead. Having multiple sportsbook accounts is the most simple way to maximize your profits, and there has never been a better time to sign up. When you visit my page, signupexpert.com/southeast, you'll be connected to all the sportsbook in your region, along with a review of each platform and its unique benefits. At all of these sportsbooks have valuable sign-up offers for new users, and when you register through my link, you automatically receive the top offer at each one. When you use multiple sportsbooks, you ensure that you can always access the best available odds, which is key to successful sports betting. If you want to take advantage of these benefits and support our brand, please consider signing up for your next sportsbook at signupexpert.com/southeast. And as you can see right here on your screen, if you are watching, you click on my link right here. It'll show you the Southeast Michigan podcast preferred sports books, and whether you're in the state of Michigan, Alaska, British Columbia, uh, wherever, right? It'll show you here your top offer. So right here, right now, Caesar Sportsbook has got 1,000 up to 1,000 back in bet credits. Of course, you got the FanDuel, the 5 for 150, 5 for 150 at BetMGM, no sweat, first bet up to 1,000 at DraftKings, and of course, if you like the little freaky deaky with the casinos and stuff like that, want to get on World Series of Poker, you get up to $100 in free plays. You open up an account, that's it. And then on Wheel of Fortune Casino, 100% deposit match up to $2,500 plus 25 bonus. So there you have it. Signupexpert.com/southeast. All right, back for segment two, and then probably three. I'll probably just merge these into one, really. But we're the Michigan hoops team, right? It's been a down year, been a crappy year. They've only won 8 games, uh, and I told you the last time we did an episode, I said I really don't think Michigan had a shot at all at winning any more games. Like they had obviously an Ohio State debacle, they had a Rutgers debacle, they got Nebraska this Sunday, but regardless, they were. I think at the time there was 6 or 7 games left, maybe 5 games, and I told you I was like they're not going to win a single solitary one, and this whole Juwan Howard thing and John Sanderson has been nothing but, I'm sure, a pain in the ass for Michigan PR. John Sanderson was a strength and conditioning coach that John Beilein brought in, and if you ask any of the players on the John Beilein teams, like Nick Stauskas, Zach Novak, I'm sure the Wagner brother, like anybody would tell you that a lot of the success came from him, and that just goes to show you again that strength and conditioning coaches mean so much, and that's why again the Ben Herbert him going to LA sucks so bad, and so you got faith in Justin Tress, but when you go ahead and you basically force John Sanderson out, and Juwan Howard still has a job is absolutely ridiculous. Now, I'm not going to read word for word. I've seen a couple screenshots, and I try to I like to read articles on here that that anyone can get to, but like when you have to pay to subscribe, I don't feel like it's very ethical to read to you what someone else is trying to make money off of as a job. So I did see some screenshots that were posted on Twitter about, I don't even know where it's from, but they cropped everything out, and I'm sure it was on a paid subscription somewhere, but essentially, Jace Howard is in the weight room. John Sanderson, and we already knew that there was a big blow up between Juwan and John, and so John went on leave, whatever, on his own, and then you had John and Jace apparently having an altercation in the weight room. Jace was, in John's eyes, being disrespectful towards a staff member, blah, blah, blah. And so from like 30 feet away, John was trying to defend his staff and said something about, Jace needs to shape up and just calm down, chill out, whatever. Well, then that triggered Juwan Howard from being somewhere else in the area to come over and to charge John, because apparently John turned around, had his back to Juwan. Juwan was being restrained and held back by coaches or by other coaches and players. Nothing more embarrassing when your players are holding the coach back. And John was turning around and seeing that Juwan like wanted to fight him. So again, you have that whole thing going on. Sanderson wrote in an email to Manuel saying that he was trying to de-escalate the situation, and of course, Juwan didn't see it that way. And I'm sure Juwan, you know, trying to defend his child and whatever, but it's it's just not a good look. Obviously, we've talked about it here before. His Wisconsin handshake line incident, and then getting in an argument with at the time head coach for the Maryland Terrapins, was it Mark Turgeon or something like that? And then Juwan got ejected from that game, and Phil Martelli has to be the scab. But um, real quickly here, this is on ESPN. So Michigan basketball. Let me turn you around. Yep, you got it. You got it. You got it. So Michigan basketball strength and conditioning coach resigns. John Sanderson has resigned as a strength and conditioning coach at Michigan 2+ months after he stopped working with the men's basketball program under Coach Juwan Howard. So yes, this is 2 months ago. We appreciate John's contributions over the years and wish him the best moving forward. A school spokesman, Kurt Svoboda, said Friday. A message-seeking comment was left with Sanderson. Howard, who had heart surgery in September, returned to his head coaching duties in mid-December after review of an incident involving several individuals during a team practice. Sanderson did not join the team on the sideline for its December 10th game at Iowa and was not on the team's bench in subsequent games. Athletic Director Ward Manuel said in December 15th statement that a thorough internal review did not uncover anything that warranted disciplinary action for anyone involved. So again, how this kind of kept its the train on the track here was after that John formed or filed a complaint, HR complaint about Howard, Juwan, that is. Michigan, Howard, and Sanderson have not shared specific details of the review or what led to it. See, former coach John Beilein hired Sanderson in 2009, and Howard retained him a decade later. He previously was the strength and conditioning coach at Clemson for its men and women's basketball programs, and worked at Marshall. This is kind of an interesting a bit right here. Sanderson played basketball at Ohio State, where he was a starting small forward on its Final Four team in 1999, and finished his college career at Ohio University. His son Jonathan is a highly touted sophomore point guard at Saline High School, which is near Michigan campus. The Wolverines are 8-21 one short of a single season school record for losses after losing by 30 points at Rutgers on Thursday night for their sixth straight defeat and 10th in 11 games. Now 8-22 after losing to Ohio State. So yeah, there's not much else to really say. I just think that I defended Ward Manuel in the Jim Harbaugh case. I think Jim Harbaugh was going to bolt no matter what. A lot of the reasoning and rationale between that is, probably trying to steer clear of any more of the NCAA's crap. Um, that being part with Connor Stallions. I'm not, people from rival fan bases can hate on Jim Harbaugh with the whole Burgergate stuff like that. To me, those are just petty violations that are just absurd compared to what we see with the tampering, even though it's legal. And then you have Ohio State, who just self-reported a bajillion violations themselves, and those violations to me are on the same level as Burgergate. So like, I'm not even worried about that. But I'm sure Jim Harbaugh is just like, enough's enough. And then just obviously again, the Lombardi Trophy is not in the NCAA or the Big Ten, so neither here nor there. But my point is with Ward handling this Juwan situation is a little bit more absurd, and I think that Ward Manuel needs to get his. I don't want. I was gonna say something profanity laced, but I won't go there. I'll just say that Ward needs to be fired or audited or something. They just need to look at it and be like, this is not a good look, bud. Not a good look, and Juwan needs to be uh, canned anyways. Horrible season, constant decline. People are saying, even last year for his head, And then this season, it's like, oh, just give him one more year to try to right the ship. They literally he won with John Beeline players and completely nosedived. That was a thing with Steve Fisher after. I can't even think of the coach's name who we just talked about in the documentary review we just did recently. Um, Steve Fisher takes over and has a mediocre year the following year after he interims for the national championship. And then they're like, all right, well, can he recruit? Steve Fisher brings in the Fab Five, so on and so forth, and then ends up, not being a Wolverine anymore. But either way, um, yeah, this situation is gone on long enough. Um, with Michigan being really behind the times on the NIL stuff, more so with probably with basketball. I think they need a coach that like John Beeline. I don't think the answer is to bring John Beeline back and try to run it again for the second time. I don't think that a success story is going to be guaranteed to be just like the last, if not better. But they need to go out and get a guy just like that. I saw an alert on my phone last week or something about Jay Wright. I think he was a former coach of Villanova, and it said that he was not interested. He's good on coaching. He's done or he's retired, or whatever. I honestly barely watch college basketball outside of the Big Ten and outside, besides March Madness. But yeah, I didn't. I thought he was still coaching at Villanova, but I'm obviously way off on that. But I think they need just to cut the tie here, cut the cord, and move on. But Ward Manuel has time and time again shown support for Juwan, and I find no ill will at all towards Juwan. He had open heart surgery; it's very serious, obviously, but we've seen enough. We've seen enough. All right, let's move on to something a little bit more positive, I guess. Um, Michigan hockey. We'll talk Michigan hockey, and then we will um, reconvene for segment 3 after this. So as you see, the Big Ten hockey championship or Big Ten hockey tournament is going to be underway this weekend. So we still have one more week of college basketball. That will really conclude this upcoming weekend. So Michigan's got its final game against Nebraska, and they're not even NIT worthy. So sayonara. But with Michigan hockey, they split the series with Minnesota. So we talked kind of a preview to that game last week. They lost night one, I believe 5-2. Was not pretty. Let's look at that and be sure. 2-6. Excuse me. So they lost in Minneapolis 6-2. Whatever. That would bring their season total to 18-3 and 3 overall, and 11-11 and 2-2 in the conference. So yes, regarding the conference tournament here, we have Michigan at the 4th seed. They got Notre Dame at the 5th seed. Best of 3 series. This is going to be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday if need be. And then Wisconsin gets the number 2 seed. They're taking on 7th seed Ohio State. And then number 3 seed Minnesota is taking on 6 seed Penn State. Again, those are all best of 3 series. And then the winner of the Michigan Notre Dame game takes on Michigan State. That's a single elimination, of course. That'll be on March 16th. And then they will play. Hold on, I'm downstairs. Hold on. Excuse me, I take the whole family is down. So Wisconsin, Ohio State will play Minnesota or Penn State, and then they will meet there in the finals. So Michigan is back-to-back Big Ten tournament champs. Both dubs coming in Minneapolis against Minnesota last year and the year prior. So they have their crown to defend. So there you go. There you have it. With that, I will go eat dinner now, and then when I come back for segment 3, we'll talk Michigan football and some combine. Of course, the big blue bias, most exciting college football players. All right, back for the final segment of the episode. So yes, the combine just happened. Michigan had a school record 18 players, of course, participating. Not all did every drill. JJ McCarthy didn't run the 40, for example, but did throw in drills, did do, I think, a 3-cone. But overall, pretty much positive news. I don't think anyone really, slid down draft boards or anything like that. Like, of course, the rival fan bases are going to dog on JJ a little bit. For like the one errant pass that he had, whatever, but threw the ball pretty well. Zach Zinner, of course, didn't do any drills because of his leg problem, but you had Trevor Keegan right here, as you can see. He did the vertical jump. He did a 5.24 40, 8.11 broad jump. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. And then JJ McCarthy, he did 6.82 3 cone and then a 4.23 5.10 5 shuttle. Blake Corum ran a 4.53 40. He did 27 bench presses, or best press reps at 225, and that was the same amount as Joe Alt, the offensive tackle for Notre Dame. But shorter guys with the reach he has, whatever, it's a little bit easier uh, with his frame to do the repetitions, but nonetheless, you can just tell how strong the dude is. And Blake Corum right here, he's listed at 5'8", 205, so the dude's a rock, right? He's shorter, but he is a rock. So I think that Blake Corum is going to be a good running back in the NFL. But with the way the NFL is nowadays, we see that less and less of that bell cow running back style is be kind of phased out, and so teams like the Ravens, the Chiefs, kind of, even the Dolphins use a platoon, and everyone kind of shares the load and the volume, and I think that Blake Corum might be, he was getting compared to Devontae Freeman, but I think he wasn't really a pass catcher, wasn't utilizing that. I have faith that he could utilize it as a weapon, but I just think that he's going to be part of a 1-2 punch or a 1-2-3 punch, if you will. Nonetheless, I think he'll do well, and um, hopefully he gets drafted to a team that's successful and wins for that way he's not stuck on a bottom feeder. And I'll say this too regarding the height is like look at guys like Austin Eckler, Danny Woodhead, Darren Sproles. I mean, you can carve out a successful career. Anyways, and then you had Cornelius Johnson ran a 4.44 40 time. I didn't really see him run routes, so I don't know if he did workouts. I honestly didn't really watch the combine like religiously at all, but I did catch what I could. Roman Wilson, he did a 4.3 40 time, so he ran pretty well. Let's see what else we got. Mikey Sanders still ran a 4.47. Mikey, even without the combine, more and more people have been reporting on how much he is kind of moving up the draft board or catching the eye of the GMs. Josh Wallace did pretty well. I don't think he did a 40 time. Yep, didn't do that one. That was a shuttle. I know some of these guys are going to probably do that on pro day. That has AJ Barner right there. Where did the AJ Barner one go? I don't see it anymore. Was it this part of this right here? I thought I saw AJ Barner at least run routes, but it didn't look like he did any of the workout reps. Junior Colson, same thing, but I heard Junior Colson is going to be a top 5 guy at his position. Chris Jenkins a 4.91, 29 on the bench press. So yeah, all in all, I mean, people have mixed feelings about the combine, but truth be told, the combine is useful for guys that are trying to improve their stock, and if you're at a superstar at an elite level, guaranteed first round pick, whatever, or maybe even early second round pick, you tend to nitpick at what you want to participate in and what you don't. All right, let's get into this Blue Bloods thing to close it out. So as you can see here, college football's most exciting players. So this was posted, I want to say, probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and just been meaning to kind of critique it. So when I first saw this, when I first saw this list, I instantly was shaking my head. I'm like, Caleb Williams at 6, or Travis Hunter at 15, or Peter Warrick at 10. I mean, Deion Sanders I just little 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 befuddled here. So before I show you the Southeast Michigan podcast top 20, let's just look at this. So Reggie Bush at number 1, I have no qualms about that whatsoever. Johnny Manziel, exciting. I just don't think he's at 2. Tavon Austin, exciting, but maybe not 3. Barkley, I you'll see my list, of course, but I dropped Barkley way back. Lamar Jackson, played on some kind of gross teams, or maybe not gross teams, but you know what I mean. Just don't think he's 5 worthy. Definitely don't think Caleb Williams is 6 worthy. I think Cam Newton at 9 is pretty fair. And then Braxton Miller at 11. I'm like, out of all the Ohio State players that you choose with Braxton Miller. I understand Braxton Miller, you know, kind of was hit or miss early on as a quarterback, and then when he moved to wide receiver, he made a few plays here and there. But to be in the top 20 all time list, I'm like, I mean, Zeke Elliott is going to be, or J.K. someone way better than that. I do believe I have an Ohio State player in there, and it's not Braxton Miller, and it's someone way more deserving, in my opinion. Robert Griffin, I'd probably move him up a little bit. D'Anthony Thomas, okay. Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders, I mean, you can make an argument or a case for Barry to be in the top 5 if you want, or top 3. 14, I guess you can keep there because I personally didn't watch him play in college. But if you just look at his stats alone in the highlights, they're absolutely absurd. They're like video game numbers. And it's funny that I don't say funny, but interesting that Robert Griffin the third and Barry Sanders are closer together. So like when the 2013 college game came out, you could relive I don't exactly remember how the game mode went, but you could replay the Heisman season of particular players, and those were 2 of them. And then, like I said, they were on the cover. And I just remember when you're like trying to exceed Barry's numbers. I mean, it's not an easy feat. Now the Travis Hunter one, I just don't get it. Talented player, sure. We spoke on it during the season. Like his snap count numbers were absolutely ridiculous. And I mean, let's just if he goes out and has another season this coming up year like he did so far in his career, to me it still is not even top 20. He doesn't even crack the top 30. There's been so many more players. I would put Ndamukong Suh in here before I would put Travis Hunter. Um, Vince Young, way too low in my opinion. Deshaun Jackson, I feel like you can put him anywhere on this list. And then another one, some Michigan fans have this infatuation for, and I kind of hinted on this. I think it was like 2 episodes ago when I teased this list. Jabril Peppers, though, man, I get it. If you're listening to the episode or the show the first time, or know me from Real Talk, I guess, is like that I like Jabril Peppers as a fan, but I'm just not on this crazy train like some of the rest of you. Two-way player, had several kick or punt returns that were electric or exciting. Was, I think, a sure tackler in college. I felt like he was kind of a cruise missile. He's a heat seeker. He could, not very many people are going to run by him. But when it came down to the bowl games, he never played a bowl game. He had an interception versus Ohio State. Outside of that, he did work against Michigan State. I just think he's great, but I just don't think he's great, or where the pedestal he gets put on amongst the fans. I just know, excuse me, I know during his tenure he was a popular guy, so I understand the draw to him and everything like that, but just just not all about it. I'm sorry for the rant there. Next we have Devin Hester, definitely deserved, and then Tyrann Mathieu. I, I know Honey Badger was a beast in college at LSU. Uh, I just I don't know. I would probably put Patrick Peterson in here before Tyrann Mathieu. So, anyways, I'm not trying to like crap and rain on this parade here, or whatever. But I just thought I'd chime in and give my opinion and my 2 cents. Um, so let's hide that real quick, and then I'll bring you up mine. Let's see here. Like I said, I'm not a I'm not a um I'm not a graphics person whatsoever. So yeah, you're gonna have to bear with me. All right, so I'll just hide my face so you can see this a little bit better. I'm in Times New Roman font, y'all. All right, so the Southeast Michigan podcast, most exciting players of all time in Microsoft Word Times New Roman font. I'll start with number 20. I got Darren McFadden, Percy Harvin at 19, Adrian Peterson at 18, Devin Hester at 17, D'Anthony Thomas at 16, Deion Sanders at 15,